p.m. Sorry, I'll say that again. Meeting is called to order at 7:04 p.m. I'm gonna have Egypt do a roll call.
Edith,
Here,
Shirley,
not here today,
Christine,
not here.
Angela,
Here.
Amy, Vincent, Stephanie,
Here.
Fabiola,
Not here.
Shauna,
Here.
and Ben.
Here,
Steve,
Stephen.
Steve, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Windows was about to shut down on us, sorry. It wants to reboot apparently. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to mention we do not have quorum tonight, so any voting will be tabled till next month. But I do just want to go over meeting norms for the council as well as for anyone on virtually. The biggest thing is be present, be engaged, limit distractions while in the meeting. If you are on virtually, stay on mute, but keep your camera on if possible. If you can't, because you're driving or something, please be safe. We're gonna be respectful of time. I'm gonna kind of speak to that in a moment, but we're gonna start and end on time as much as possible. And we're gonna stick to the agenda and keep comments concise. We wanna make sure we're staying on topic and speaking with purpose, so just avoiding those side conversations, listening actively, respectively, even if we disagree, ask questions, don't challenge anyone. We wanna focus on outcomes of how we can move forward, bring suggestions, not just concerns. And what's shared here is public. So this is a safe space though. If you hear something said, you don't have to repeat that same thing. You could just say that you agree with it. And for public speaking, it will be 2 minutes per public speaker. And Dr. Mike's reports, we've discussed it. We're going to do about 20 minutes for reports. Certain months, we might have to extend that a little bit just because of some data that we have, but we're going to stick to that as well. So I'm going to have actually Dr. Mike give his report first, and then we'll move on from there.
You got it. It's gonna be a hard thing for me to do in 20 minutes.
Oh, I'm
You know,
sure.
just me and my big mouth, I'm a talker. But I'll do the best that I can. So, hi, everyone. I hope all of you guys are enjoying your summer thus far. Yes.
Email from Hannah.
Going to talk to you about a couple things just as we're getting the school year underway, or preparing to get it underway, that is. I'm going to go over a few things with you just in terms of preparation. I'm going to share a little bit of data that we didn't get to talk about in July, which is kind of our end year information. And then I'll explain a couple of things about what's coming up that we'll be able to share with you in September. That is data connected that I am excited about. I can't necessarily share just yet, but I have some positive news that's connected to our data for the district, but I can't necessarily disclose that today. So the things that you're going to see present today are from the spring iReady assessments, sharing it with you because it's aligned with our priority. I'll talk to you about that in just a few moments. But a couple of things, Friday, August 29th, Councilmember Ung is hosting a back to school block party. I will be there along with Deputy Superintendent Sarin. We'll be there giving books away just to participate in the event. So for those of you that are available, certainly welcome as CEC members to help us hand out some of those books if you're willing and interested. But we're looking forward to that. Back to school, first day of school is Friday, September 4th. We do have Rosh Hashanah and where it's closed Tuesday and Wednesday. So just marking your own calendars for that. And we included the link for the school year calendar there for you as well. So if you're one of those planners and you need to see all of that information, I encourage you to get it out there and get it into your calendar ahead of time. So, there are no kind of questions about what's coming up, at least in terms of the school year. Enrollments. So family welcome centers are available across the city to support year-round enrollment and admissions. There's a link there to create an appointment if so necessary. Any children that are in their zone schools, they have access to go and register in their zone school. They don't have to go to the Family Welcome Center. They're certainly welcome to do so, but the Family Welcome Center will we'll likely redirect them just to go right to their school. So they can take care of that with the school and the secretary. But if it happens to be someone who is not necessarily zoned, or maybe perhaps they don't know what their zone is, they're always welcome at the Family Welcome Center. For assistance with enrolling your child in a public school other than your zone or high school, transfers and applications for 3K, pre-K, kindergarten, middle, and high school. That's where we can go, and there are locations that are available to you for that, including here at Linden Place. So if anyone needs to schedule an appointment, there is the QR code and the link there for anyone that might need it. You can always redirect them, and this is on the CEC page. So if there's something that you guys need, all of the information is always accessible to you, so that if you need to bring someone and direct them, you bring them right to the slide deck and they will have access to it. So my agenda, something called Connection Before Content, I want to talk to you guys about. I'd love for you to even engage in that work with me here, and maybe even bring it back to your own schools in some way, shape, or form. Updates on cell phone policy. This is probably something that some of you have already heard about or participating in as school leadership team members. But it is an important topic, one that no matter which way we turn it is here. It is something that we have to work through. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then the current state of performance here in the district. And when I say current, I'm talking end year, not necessarily state assessments. I'm going to share with you what that looks like in alignment with our goals. It's important for you to hear what that means in alignment with goals, because that's exactly what our schools are expected to do as well. We set goals, we have to monitor for them, see whether it is that we met them or not, and then make the appropriate decisions after that, whether it's to stretch them or make revisions to our processes so that we meet them. So you'll hear a little bit about that in just a moment. But connection before content. This is something that, and I hope you enjoy my little bitmojis that I throw in here every now and then. It's something that we try to do at all of our meetings. We encourage our schools to think about this and how we're going to do it with our kids. Oftentimes, and I'm very guilty of this myself, I'm a very task-oriented kind of guy. If I have something to do, I'm going to get my work done on target, yada, yada, yada. But at some point, that's only as good as making sure that everyone around you is with you. And building relationships is essential to that component. So connection before content is intended to make sure that the people that are around you, you create a space where you just take a moment, learn a little bit of something about someone else. Who are they? What are they like? Building some of those relations, something that we want to make sure that we're encouraging not only our principals to do amongst themselves, but also with their teachers, as well as to our kids. Our kids need to be known well as well. This is not just about us as adults, but when we do it, there's a greater likelihood of us doing that with our kids. So I'm not going to go crazy with this one. This is just be an intro and not to eat up too much time. But if you were to think of a song that would kind of call to what your summer has been like, what would that song be? If you want to take a moment just to think about, if you want to think about that one, if something strikes you, you're willing to share. We've done this with our folks, and they come up with some really clever songs, and some even so bold to sing because they have much better singing voices than I do. But if you want to just play along just for a second, you can think of a song.
Yes.
And then maybe share it with an elbow partner quick.
It's gonna be.
If you got one.
I forgot his name, but I always feel happy.
Well, we're small enough, we can do it out loud with everyone.
It's gonna be a good life. I forgot the group, but, gosh, but everyone knows it. It's gonna be good life.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
I feel happy when I hear it, so.
Oh, I love that. Anyone
So,
else have one?
I have one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say bad day.
Well, I gotta have, because I had a bad day, that one?
I've had a very trying few weeks. Between things with floods, things with my children, things with this personal things going on. So I would definitely say that.
Oh, boy. Anyone else?
Second word.
I will just say, lately, just what's been on the loop, because I have a 4-year-old, is This Must Be the Place by Talking Heads, which is a really great song, about connecting and finding people who care about you. And we've really been, that's
love
in
that.
our 4 times a day also.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep. That's
Oh, yes. Hi,
Fabiola.
Fabiola.
Hi. I guess for me, it would be by Salt and Pepper, Shake Your Thing. because I'm just shaking all over the place, all over the place. This summer has been very busy with my daughter's sweet 16, and now I'm in another birthday situation and just working and trying to get school together. So yes, Shake Your Thing is my song.
Just give us a minute. We're having a bit technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry, guys. So the computer shut down. So can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Got the mic.
Okay, if you can hear me, then I'll continue while
Hey.
getting the computer rebooting. But yeah, thank you for that, Fabiola. Shauna, did you have one?
You're welcome.
By Franz Ferdinand.
Holiday?
It's always better on holiday.
It's always better on holiday. Love it.
Good.
So listen, this is just a short little activity, something intended just to kind of keep everyone connected as much as possible, something that I do want to do with you guys each time, even if it was just for a few seconds, just to connect a little bit. But what we're also asking our schools to do as well, to make sure that we're connecting with one another.
That's a fun idea. I like it.
Yeah, awesome. Cell phone policy, so going from a little bit of fun into a little bit of not so fun. So cell phone policy update, as you guys know, this is something that's an expectation from New York State and New York State law. And it covers personal internet-enabled devices such as cell phones, smartwatches, tablets. There's, within the law, prohibits the use of these devices bell to bell, meaning from the time a child comes into a school to the time they leave the school. There's an expectation that those devices are off and secured in a location. So what that means is, and what most of our schools are in the process of doing, is creating their policy, which will be shared at the school level with their SLTs, for SLTs to approve and say, you know what, we feel good about this. Most schools are purchasing pouches like the Yonder pouch. Some of you may have heard about those. They're almost like those magnetic ones that, you know, like those little clips that are on clothing that they have to unlock. Or there are Velcro ones that the Velcro is so loud when you open it, it makes a screeching noise. Just to make sure that our kids are complying and knowing that in school, there's not the place for the device. All of our families will be given phone numbers to access the school in the event that they don't have it. So if they feel like there is some kind of a concern or an emergency that they need to get in touch with their children, they will still have the ability to do that. If something happens with their kid and their child wants to be able to reach home, they'll be able to do that. It's just not necessarily in class, let me do that and dial you up while I'm, in my classroom. So there will be procedures that are within every school's plan in order to make sure that we are aligning ourselves with policy. Now, there will be a variety of different mindsets about this. I did touch on this last time briefly around use of phones. Sorry, we just switched back over to the new reloaded and rebooted device. So what I was just saying is that, we're going to have folks on different sides of this and wanting their children to have access. But I can assure you that the goal is that we keep our kids as connected as they need to be, and most importantly, to the instruction that's going on in their classrooms. Does anyone have any comment on this? Yeah.
I just had a question. I know they said there will be exceptions for students who use their phone, say, as a glucose monitor or other health things. For things like the Yonder pouches, it can block a signal. What is the process for getting those exceptions?
Yeah, so every school within their plan includes a section that talks about exception process.
Okay.
So there'll be a point of contact at the school for the school to do that, for a parent to do that outreach to the building, and then a time frame with which they have to review the request and then provide you with either, yes, we're going to provide you with that exception, or no, it doesn't align with whatever it is. And why I say whether it doesn't align is, it's one thing to come with the doctor's note, it's another one to say that my child just needs it. So there are those things will be weighed in terms of need. But that will be within every school's plan. Those are all being reviewed by me. And it is an expectation within my review that it will include the space of exception. And those types of things where it's something that is medical are within the things that will be considered.
I had a quick
Yeah.
question too. And I'm expect that these details will be up to specific schools, but I'm just wondering in terms of like staff time. Somebody have to supervise the kids at the beginning of the school day and make sure everybody's putting their phone in a pouch, and is there any concern
Like an honor
about how
system,
much
you mean?
staff time that might?
Yeah, so we are definitely looking to make sure that that is limited. There's not going to be this long 500 student line to organize and make sure that, you know, one kid at a time is done in that fashion. So, you know, and there are a variety of different approaches, whether it's they have, you know, each one of those younger pouch stations has its own space where they can unlock and lock, using the staff members that they have to make sure that the kids are in fact doing what they're supposed to do. And once those routines are in place, there really shouldn't be very much downtime at all to get them stored and secured and all of that. Do I think that's maybe in the beginning of the year for schools that haven't really had a policy? Could it be a little bit messy? Maybe. But I do think once the routine is established, it shouldn't really take too much time from anyone's schedule, really.
Are we
Yeah.
kind of going on the honor system that the children are gonna be honest, but they have them to put them away?
Well, yeah, listen, there's not necessarily,
'Cause I mean, we can't go looking through their stuff unfortunately either.
yeah, so there's an expectation if you have them. And by the way, if kids don't necessarily comply and those phones go off, then it becomes a problem for the student. You know, and when I say a problem, then you have to then go through the problem of, do you have your phone? Can we have the phone and all of that stuff? It just creates a whole bank of other time-consuming things that hopefully we don't have to deal with. But in the beginning, do I suspect that we might have some of our kids that might say that I don't have anything and then they go off? Yeah, it probably could happen, but I do believe that over time we'll be just fine. We do have schools that do this already, and there has been really no issue once the routines are set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 and 9, from what I understood,
Yeah.
was taking the phone thing, because my son was he's leaving now to go to 185. And in his class, he said that they would collect phones
Mhm.
in the morning and then give them back at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I was fine with it. I'm fine with what's gonna happen in September, because and not because this is my thing that everyone should just fall in line or anything like that, but for me, that's how I feel. We just gave our kids phones because they'll be traveling on their own.
Mhm.
So for now, I feel like in school, you don't need to be texting me or anyone else.
Mhm.
You just need to let me know you got to school okay, and when it's time to come home, you're on your way home. So for me, I mean, obviously, if there's a medical need, like you said, but they don't need to.
Mhm.
If there's that much of an emergency,
I
they're gonna
think
find the
they'll be
school.
less stressed out not being on their phone
Yeah, I
and
do
more
think,
engaged.
I think the use of, and you know, having a young man who's now just finished 8th grade and going into high school and having a high schooler, you know, there's way too much reliance on this. And, you know, it most definitely has its place. They're beyond useful, right?
Yeah.
We've grown to now to be at a point where almost consider we need to have these around us as adults at times. But when you're learning, it's not always necessary that you have them. We do have devices for kids to get on in the classroom if they need them. It doesn't necessarily have to be the phone. But I do think that you know, it'll take some time for some folks to get used to. But we'll make sure that they're good and prepared to know how do you get in touch with the school if they don't know that already. And you know what to do in the event there is some kind of a reason that you need to get in touch with your child. Yeah. But anything else? All right, yeah, more to follow on this, but I do think that our building leaders are really great about connecting with their parents and community members to make sure that there is that space of connection. And I think we'll be just fine as we move through. Okay, DCEP progress monitoring. So at the start of last year, this is from last year's goals. So we set an expectation that we wanted to grow in kindergarten through 2nd grade by 5% for all students and 10% for our targeted subgroups. So those of you who don't know a lot about me, you'll learn that I'm going to be transparent with information. You're going to see what it is how we're performing. You're going to hear what it is that we're doing. And most importantly, you're going to see what the result is, right? So for our children in K through 2, we set a goal that we would be at 64% by the end of the year. We wound up growing to 61% overall as a district for our children in K through 2. We targeted our Hispanic learners, our Black learners, our MLLs, as multilingual learners, and our students with IEPs. Each of those subgroups, we set a target of growing by at least 10% for each of those groups. These are goals that we did not meet. The groups that wound up getting to a point of upwards of 5% were our students with IEPs and our multilingual learners. We did grow by a couple of percent for our Hispanic learners. Our Black learners remained relatively consistent with where we were the previous year. And this will lead into where I'm going to talk to you about our future goals in just a minute. Our iReady reading assessment data, this really targeted our children in grades 3 through 8. This is the assessment we use for children in grades 3 through 8. Again, year over year, the goal was that we would be at 57% by the end of the year. We grew by about 2% for our students, all student population. Little over it's about 5.5% for our Hispanic learners, 4% for our Black learners, 2% for our Ls, and 3% for our students with IEPs. Year over year comparison for our subgroups. For mathematics, we wound up growing a little under 3% overall. We saw just under 5% change for our Hispanic learners, just under 8% for our Black learners, 5% for our MLLs, and we actually regressed a little bit for our students with IEPs when it comes to mathematics. And this one is a really, really important one as well. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot throughout the year. And this is chronic absenteeism. So we have our peaks and valleys with this as we go through the year. We get to November, late November, and we look really, really good. And then December hits, January hits, and we go from good to not so good. Get into February, start improving towards the latter part of February into March, April, and so on, and we start improving a little bit. So we had some ebbs and flows where at some points of the year, you heard me say, you know what, we're on target, we're meeting expectations for chronic absenteeism. And then it comes to the end of the year and we didn't meet those expectations. This is a constant area of focus for me and our schools. If our kids aren't in our classrooms, we know that it's going to be a hard time for them to pick up the material and learn. The area that is most prevalent for us to have chronic absenteeism are in kindergarten and first grade. And the reason why that's so significant is those are the building block years. If our kids start falling behind in kindergarten and first grade, we wind up seeing the effects of that over the course of time because they're not necessarily as prepared with the content as they need to be because they've been out for a significant number of days. So chronic absenteeism, in the event that you don't know what that means children that have been out 10% or more of the school year, which is equivalent to 18 school days. A child that has been out 18 school days, if that it's about 2 days a month. If that persists through a child's academic career from kindergarten through 8th grade, that means they would have missed what's equivalent to an entire year's worth of school. So it's important that we talk about this, and there are lots of reasons why. Whether it's a child that's sick, for a long-term absence, those are going to happen, right? The kids are going to get the flu. Unfortunately, our little ones tend to put those hands in those mouths more often than we would like. Without doing the hand washing, so it is about us engaging in those conversations with our early childhood families, making sure that our kids are good and healthy, and ready to go to school on a regular basis. So we have a lot more work and outreach to do. I've asked all of our schools, especially our elementary schools, to do that outreach to what will now be our first grade families, now our second grade families, that were having difficulty with attendance last year so that we get ahead of some of that and really start connecting to see what those needs are. Because it's not about telling anyone how dare your child be absent. It's about, are there things that we can do to support to make sure that our kids are in school every single day? there is a direct relationship to children that are chronically absent and their performance. It's a 20% difference in meeting standards for those that are in school versus those that are not. So we have lots of things here that we do have to do. And where that brings me is into our goal setting for next year. So, and what I will tell you is the data that you see there is not reflective necessarily of what you will see next month. And you know, I led off by saying that I do have some positive, some more positive spaces of data than the end year, which I unfortunately can't share with you just yet, but I am I'm excited about to be able to present to you next month. But where did this bring us? So based on our analysis of what was going on inside of our classrooms, we know that explicit instruction is really, really important. It was part of our goal setting last year. We do want to continue to build through that. And basically what explicit instruction is that we're providing children with a very clear model of what it is that they're learning, provided with some guided practice, and then some independent practice inside whatever skill it is that they're learning. This year, we're going to be really, really intentional around how are we using the curricular resources that we have, which are abundant, to make sure we're doing a really, really good job of aligning those resources with student needs. So it's not about tomorrow's lesson 3, it's about tomorrow's lesson 3 and Mike needs in order to access lesson 3. So we're going to be very intentional with our professional learning to support that going into next year, with the goal of right now, and this may change based on my analysis of our state assessment data, improvements in our subgroups the way that we have until we wind up getting to a place where those gaps are no longer as visible as they are, as we do have gaps across our subgroups, which we're trying to close.
Good question.
Yes.
Do you know when we should be seeing the state results?
When for the public release, it should be within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So it should be relatively soon. And once we have a public release, then we can certainly talk more about it in in the district space. And the other part that is really important for everyone to know is in District 25, we have 6,700 English language learners. It is a huge part of our district population, and what makes us an amazingly diverse and beautiful group is that we have children that are coming from all over the place into District 25, but also have language needs. And what we do know is that when we remove and disaggregate our information and say, you know what, we're going to just put our L's in a bucket here, and then all of our other students, we have 80+% of our children reading on grade level in grade 2. When we include our L's, that number comes down significantly, which says we have a really, really significant need in making sure that our newest learners, our newest English learners, are getting the resources necessary for them to be successful. So one of the places that we're really going to be digging into quite a bit, all of our L's, particularly our entering and emerging English language learners, are required to receive 8 periods of services from a provider. Within those periods, 4 of them are dedicated to what we call standalone instruction, where it's really intended to build language. So our folks are really, really digging into making sure that that standalone 4 periods is targeted around building language for our kids, with the goal of improving by at least 10% the number of kids in terms of their proficiency levels. L's are within 5 different levels of proficiency: entering, emerging, transitioning, expanding, and commanding. Those 5 levels, we want our kids in that commanding space by the end of the year. And for me, if we're going to continue to elevate as a district, we need to do more strategic work for this particular group. They make up 28% of our district, which is significant. So if we have a group of learners that is struggling with the language, then increasing that performance rate is going to struggle. We're going to have a hard time doing that. So this is why we have targeted that particular group of students this year. Does anyone have any questions before I move on about that? Make sense? Okay. Mind Up is our SEL program in the event that you don't know. Our goal here is to really utilize the program for what it has in it. It has things called Mind Up Moments. It has conversation starters. We do include things like brain breaks on a regular basis. And one of the things that we do know in our survey data is that student-to-student relationships is, even though it improved this year from our student statements, we still have a lot more to do in this area, for our kids. So we want to make sure that we're including as often as we possibly can those times and spaces, just like we just did today with that connection before content. We're able to talk to someone maybe perhaps that you don't always talk to make sure that our kids start learning about each other. Because when we do that, and you guys know this as adults, you find that, oh my God, I didn't know that you love that. How cool is that? I love that too. And before you know it, we start creating friendships and relationships that wouldn't have existed before. So we're going to be spending a lot of time really pushing out the work of Mind Up in our schools, particularly those two elements, the Mind Up moments and the conversation starters, so that they are done with in a more routine way to build those relationships with our kids. Mathematics is our third goal. What we are going to be digging into, and we do pretty well, in terms of city performance in mathematics, and that has been consistent for many years, and that still remains consistent. Our children do perform well in mathematics. We will be shifting curriculum in our middle schools. Middle schools, we are moving to Amplify Math. This is something that we had members of the CEC participate on our district math team to help us make some decisions around what curriculum we would choose. And this is the one that we wound up landing on. It helps our kids promote that space of sense making, where yes, there is opportunity for that explicit instruction, but not necessarily at the beginning of telling students this is how you're going to solve. More creating opportunities for kids to be able to explore and make sense out of the math. So this is happening across all of our middle schools and our middle school K-8 schools. So every child in 6 through 8 will be using the Amplified Math program.
There's actually, I was talking to one of the teachers from 193 the other day, and I guess she's been doing this stuff to train for it, and she had to give amazing feedback. She's like, I really like this program. I feel like it's going to give much more to us. And so she had some great feedback already from what she's been learning about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And I think, like most things, it's going to take a little bit of time for kids to get used to a new routine in mathematics, as well as our staff. But we've been working on training. Our folks are getting trained. We have a number of folks that are actually here the past few days just working on planning and preparing for the start of the school year, which is really, really exciting. We had a room full of teachers for our middle schools that were here already. We also are doing this in our departmentalized elementary programs. So schools that have a departmentalized 5th grade, meaning they have one teacher that teaches math to a couple of classes, or they have one teacher that teaches ELA. For schools where they have departmentalized, they do have the option to also engage in this work with Amplify, just to get the ball rolling in their classrooms, so that we're not doing two things at once. It's not something I want. I think we're now in year 3 of implementation of HMH. I did not want to add another layer until I felt good about where we were with implementation of the current curriculum we have for reading. So those teachers that are departmental will not have to do both. They're going to be doing their math, and it won't impact their ability to engage in training and concentrate in a given area. But next year, we're focused on sense making, providing kids opportunities through routines on a daily basis to learn what's going on in the classroom. And with these goals that you see here, you're going to hear your principals talk about the same thing. Might not be exactly the same as what I'm saying, but they're going to align their work very much to what it is that we do here at the district, so that they won't share with you something that's completely outlandish or something that is completely outside of what we're looking to get accomplished as a district community. This will always be brought back to the SLT for you guys to discuss, but this is something that you guys should be aware of that we are working on as a district community. These last two I'm really excited about. So for those of you who have been part of or maybe watched the CEC meetings in the past, I'm really, really big on civics for all. I think it's important that our kids have a voice and use that voice in productive ways. So across our schools, we engage in something that's called Project Soapbox. It allows our kids to identify an area that they're really passionate about, research it, write a speech, present their speech to their class, and then those speeches wind up getting selected to move on to eventually participate in what they call the I'm going to mispronounce it. Melinda, I need you. The Soapbox Challenge, which is called, Melinda.
So the organization that runs Soapbox is Mikva Challenge?
No, I can't get that out. Big Challenge, and what our kids get to do, for those that get selected, they participate in what they call main stage, and they compete against kids across New York City, where they present their speech and then have an opportunity to have their voices heard. What's so beautiful about that is kids that have engaged in those speeches have seen their voices make a change, whether that's a traffic light outside of their building, because a child got hit by a car, or because they have there's not a stop sign at the corner, and we have kids tallying how many cars just drive through without looking, and then they present to the DOT, they present to the state, to our senators, to assembly members, and so on. And that's the type of thing that we're really trying to push across the district. And what's so great about this is that through these Take Action projects and Project Soapbox, our goal is to get our kids in District 25 to earn 1 point to the Seal for Civic Readiness, which allows them to earn the seal for their diploma when they get out of high school, provided that they're going to a high school that also offers the same. It's a really, really great thing for our kids to have access to, and we're looking to continue to grow this across our schools going into next year. The other thing that we're really excited about and really want to push more, and this one is certainly up to our parents, but we want to continue to push it. So all of our parents in grades K through 3 have an opportunity to activate an account, which is called through the Save for College program. It's kind of like a 529 type of plan, but upon activation, they provide $100 for all of our kids that activate. Nothing that anyone really needs to do for it. You activate your account, and they add $100 to a child's account that will continue to accrue over time. As a district, we have less than 40% of our district community that participates. And I get it, it is certainly a parent choice whether they want to or not, but sometimes I think that we don't participate because there's a lack of awareness. So we want to increase that awareness so that for families that might want to do it, that don't know about it, can take advantage of it. So this is something that we're going to continue to push as a district, and as you discussed later in your business meeting, if you would like them to come, I know they would be happy to come and share a little bit about that work with you as well. We were discussing this earlier today. Over $1 million has already been supported through District 25, which is an incredible amount of money that has been shared just with our kids alone here in district. So we'd love to see that keep going. You know, let more and more folks take advantage of those dollars that are available. But this is something you will also see in some of our schools. Really look to push inside of their buildings to get more families involved.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, what you're sharing with us now, is this something that I could put on my Instagram or have my friends do that as well? Can I put that information out there?
Around Save for College? I mean, it's really,
Yes.
I mean, as long as they're, you know, a family in New York City schools, I mean, that's something that each elementary school, a parent coordinator can help with at their school if they need help with activating an account. You know, we can certainly provide you with access to that information for sure, Fabiola. It's a nice opportunity. But remember, this is for children in the K through 3. Any children that are outside of that age group would not necessarily have access to it. They're building it up from kindergarten on out. So I think this is year 4 of the program. Yeah, mental math struggled there just now. So they'll continue to build it up over the course of time so that you know, as many kids have access to it as possible. But we can certainly get you the information. I'll make sure that Jenny shares it with you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. This is another one. Our parent engagement goal is something that we're going to continue to grow through. what I've asked our schools to really do, and this has worked out quite well in our buildings, whether it's through monthly or quarterly family types of engagement events, with what I call relational. It's one thing to ask someone to come in for a workshop. It's another to say, come in and do this with your kids, and learn a little bit about what we're doing here as a school. So many schools have adopted things like First Fridays or Welcoming Wednesdays or Together Tuesdays. And they invite families in to be able to, one, hear a little bit. So are there some workshop things that are present? Sure. But they also get to see what's happening inside of the school. And it creates a really, really nice environment for our families. So it is something that I do want to continue, and want to continue to push across our building so that we continue to grow as a community. So certainly more to follow on this, but our schools have been really doing a nice job of it. And I want to continue it. That's why there is a goal that remains here so that we don't lose sight of the connections that we've been able to make with families, especially this school year. And that includes us. We do what you'll learn from here as CEC members. We do a lot of events as a district, let alone as schools. Whether it's connecting with our local elected officials or we're running our own at the Bound Park or Casino Park, we're always doing something to connect with families. And the reason we do that is the more, even though we're big, when we get together, it doesn't even seem that way. We have a book giveaway. We have 1,000 people there, so it's something that is really, really important to me that we continue to foster. So, more to follow on that, but just so you guys know. And the last goal is around chronic absenteeism. We do need to do a better job of supporting our families, and it's not for a lack of effort. It's because our schools, every school has what they call a case team. The case teams are responsible for reviewing attendance data, supporting culture, supporting social emotional learning. But as part of their meetings, what's embedded is a look at all children that are having difficulty with attendance. What supports can we provide? Are we offering some kind of incentive through certificates and 100% awards and those types of things? It's all embedded in what they do. But at times we do struggle with getting some of our families and some of our children in, whether it's because there is routine illness or something along those lines. We're still going to try to support. And sometimes there are some misnomers. Some of them, like my child is asthmatic, and there's concern. Well, can I bring my child to school if they're asthmatic? And the reality to that is we can develop plans with the school nurse and the school to make sure that a child that may be suffering from asthma has the ability to know what that plan is to make sure that both parent and student feel comfortable. So there are lots of different reasons, and that's the difficulty with chronic absenteeism. There's no one reason that you can say, all right, we're going to do this, because it might not work for everyone. But needless to say, this is a big area for us moving into this school year. And will continue to be until we can see those numbers come back to where we would like them to be. And that's as few kids as possible that are missing school. But that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know I went over 20 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, how bad did I do?
I didn't count it.
25, 30? 30? Okay. If you have any questions, I'll be happy
Anybody
to
have
answer.
questions?
Only one question I
Yeah.
have is, with the cell phone, the no use of cell phone during, or not saying it right, but with students not being able to have their phones during school hours, is that for every New York City public school?
New York State. Yeah, this is a New York State law.
26 as well.
New York State
Just wanna
law.
be sure.
Everyone.
My
Yes.
daughter's moving on there.
Yeah. Yes, so this is a New York State law. My kids out on Long Island also have to comply with
Okay, just checking.
same said.
Again, I'm okay with it. I just
Said
wanted to
work.
be-
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is not a city driven, it's within our policy now, but because it's through state law.
Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna move into the president's report. I know that Dr. Mike did mention the event at Sandra Ung's office. There is also right now a school drive donation drop-off going on at Vicky Palladino's office. I don't know if people have seen the emails or stuff, but she is accepting any type of school supplies there, and then they will be putting together an event to give out school supplies as well. That was the first thing. Second thing is that we do have some speakers lined up for next month. One who's on today that I don't know if she's planning to speak at all today, but we'll get to that in a moment. But we have some really good information that Dr. Mike listened to a presentation on, Egypt and I sat in on, and we're looking to really look forward to sharing that with everyone. The only other thing is, for me, is just a reminder to email Egypt and myself based on our bylaws 48 hours in advance if you know you cannot come unless an emergency comes up at the last minute, and then just make sure to send an email so that we do have documentation. The one last thing is that there are vacancies on the council at this point. We have our D25 seat that has to be appointed, hopefully. We do have 2 student members we can get. We are entitled to another borough president appointee, like we have Stephen. And we have 1 member who did not sign his oath, and most likely that seat will be opening. So if you know anyone who is interested to apply, let them know. They can go in, do the application, send it in. They will get vetted, and then we'll do an interview process to fill the seat. But just wanted to get that out there that we do want to fill that seat. And the same school rule that went on during elections does not apply actually during this process. So if somebody from your school happens to want to apply, they are eligible to apply now. So that's just the other thing I wanted to share.
For the decent.
No, for the regular vacancy.
Oh,
And anyone could put in for borough president. They're interested. Next on our agenda was just discussion of wellness. Do we have any updates on wellness that you wanted to share?
No, honestly, it was really more just gathering some feedback from you guys around what we want that notion of wellness, kindness, and community to look like, sound like, and feel like. It's kind of where we left off. Would love to hear any feedback that you guys have in terms of promoting that space of, adding to our district motto of, strong roots, strong schools, this idea of wellness, this idea of kindness, and this idea of community. What should that be in our own, from our own perspectives, so that, those words come along with a set of expectations, that it's not just, 3 words, but here are the things we believe when we say that, and not necessarily through my own lens. It's through the lens of each of us, that we believe that, when we say that here, this is what we really mean. Is when we can identify what we mean by it, then we can ask schools to really think about how have they aligned themselves to said vision for this model in District 25. We're doing a very similar thing with our principals, asking them the same question. We're going to do the same thing with our kids. We're going to ask our kids the same question, because it is important. When we're thinking about it in a common way, we can really push ourselves to try to align our behaviors to that. And this all came from just this space of relationships that I felt that our kids, especially in our middle schools, were struggling with a little bit. And listening to some of our kids, as part of my conversations when I go into buildings, and some almost resigned to that's just the way that we act as middle schoolers. And that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be just the way that we think we can maybe try to be funny, but not kind at the same time. That's just us being middle schoolers. It shouldn't be that way. So that kind of spurred the whole space of this wellness, kindness type of theme.
And I think we're gonna start putting some time on the calendar again this year, to kind of give ourselves like 15-20 minutes prior to our meeting time to start talking through that further.
Yep.
So I'm gonna add that going forward for us, with Dr. Mike. We'll kind of plan it. We'll send it that you could be on virtually for, because it's not a regular meeting. It's a meeting with Dr. Mike. But we will definitely get that on. So even if you're on your way here and you jump on so that you're here for 7, you could still be participating in that meeting.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Okay.
But that, if anyone has any feedback or anything that you've thought about over the past month that you can contribute to that space, and if not now, you can always email me and say, Mike, this is what I've been thinking about within the context of those 3 words and what it can mean for the district.
I would like to share, so it's strong roots. Can you repeat the phrase again?
Strong roots, strong schools. And the space within the motto is going to be this wellness, kindness, community. And so it's strong roots, strong schools, but it's from many roots growing as one community is the way it's currently written. So it's going to say something like from many roots growing in wellness, kindness, and community.
This
You know, so-
reminds me of how Queens is like very diverse and there's so many cultures, and I think we should celebrate that diversity, but make that the connection between all of us, and we're so diverse and we're such a, everybody in the population is so different, but we all come together. I think that's,
I always say New York is a melting pot.
it is, especially Queens and all this. We're so lucky to share space with so many other cultures within our own community, and
I used to love when 79 do it, where they'd have some kind of cultural day. I don't remember if they did that this year, but I like when they do it because then you get, well, they did actually in the classroom now. I think it was more open before pandemic. But in the classroom, I do remember because my kids, I usually get them a t-shirt with my husband's British, I'm Jamaican by birth, so they have a t-shirt that says like what the flags are.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they did do it. So, yeah,
Love it.
but I like your ideas.
Yeah, so just so you also know, I've asked every school leadership team to add this as an agenda item within their SLT. Wellness, kindness, community. What are we doing as schools to promote this? But I think in order for that to really take root, not to, play on words with our vision of strong roots, strong schools, is just to make sure that we're all within the same mindset, so that someone doesn't, lead into a place that we're really not trying to build as a district community. But I love the idea of making sure that we're making connections to the diversity of our district, because it is what makes us unique as a district community. Yeah, John.
I just want to kind of add to what you were saying. I also think it's really important for us to acknowledge diversity of types of families, be it queer parents, be it single parents, be it families of any non-traditional thing. So I think both cultural and just making it known that the students in our district come from a lot of different forms of family, and just making that also just kind of part of that conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
love it.
acceptance of
Yeah.
all the different family
I
dynamics.
like that.
Yeah, listen, diversity means lots of things, right? And it's making sure that we are inclusive of all of that. Love it. Any other initial thoughts? I mean, I don't have to come out right this second, but
We'll
if
schedule
there
something
are other
later.
things, but I really do encourage you. And sometimes when there are requests for feedback like this, we hesitate because we're like, oh, I don't know if that's really going to make sense, or if that really is something that's a value add. You won't know unless you throw it into the ring, right? And sometimes those things that we hold back and don't say could have been a really great opportunity for our schools to learn from and do so. If you could, going into September, think about that. What would you want that whole mindset to be about? We do have another tree. Everything's around the tree, and that's kind of the language of the tree. I just haven't unveiled it yet for you guys to look at. There'll be kind of a space for you guys to say whether or not you like it or not. But that's kind of how it goes. It's District 25, strong roots, strong schools, from many roots growing together in wellness, kindness, and community is kind of the way that it's now rephrased. And Lewis did a great job of making it look really, really nice. So we'll share that with you the next time, but it would be great if you are able to contribute some thoughts around what we would want to do with that.
And then we'll schedule.
I just also want to add that having that kind of conversation piece with our children as well, since this is their second home that they have to be at for 8 hours. So if they can add to how they want their environment to be as well, I think it would be a much stronger, I guess, common ground for all of us with involving the kids and those 3 initiatives that you were stating.
Yeah, I love that, Fabiola.
Thanks, Fabiola.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else have anything before we move on to public speaking? Okay. We're gonna move into public speaking. Anyone who is looking to do public speaking will be given 2 minutes. I will keep time. Hannah, did you want to briefly just introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Dr. Mike and everybody. Do you want me to get going with my 2 minutes, or you just wanted me to say hi now?
You could go for 2 minutes. You're good. Give a little.
Okay, thank you
intro.
so much. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Eden. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Hannah Lobb. I'm from Fun and Function. And just in a nutshell, we are a New York City and New York State MWB vendor. That really works hand in hand together with New York City DOE schools to create and promote sensory and social emotional resources. So that encompasses sensory tools, building up sensory environments, and really looking at the big picture, thinking about professional development, data tracking tools to really create that very robust program. First of all, to support our students, but also very importantly to educate and really hold, the hands of educators in order to really give them that strong footing in terms of how to build up that type of environment. And we've worked very closely with various different schools and districts, and we're looking forward to build up this relationship and sort of see how we can create something that's meaningful, that's impactful, and that's something that's very sustainable in order to support the students and the schools that we reach. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and looking forward to see what comes next.
Thank you, Hannah. So just so everyone knows, Hannah is going to be one of our presenters next month, which I was going to discuss a little bit later. But we're also going to try to coincide her presentation, where she's going to show more about what they do with our special education representative from district. And I'm also going to be reaching out to the Horizon Nest program leads to see if one of them could come speak about those autism programs that are out there for children as well. So that is just a little piece of what's to come in September. So Hannah, thank you. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak? Okay, so we can do a motion to adjourn the calendar meeting if somebody wants to make the motion.
I move to adjourn.
Who wants to second it? Okay, so Shauna and then Steven. Okay, take 2 minutes, grab some pizza, drink, and fill out your reimbursement forms if you need me to sign them, and then we will begin the business meeting.
I won't be needing the reimbursement form today.
No worries. Shirley, how you feeling, Shirley?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh my goodness, Shirley, go and rest.
Go to sleep. Don't worry about it.
I know, I know.
Absolutely love it.
I did my 99.
Okay. Some of the stuff is gonna kind of get skipped over on this.
I'm gonna go run in the restaurant because I don't want my family to think I ghost them, but I'll be right back out.
No worries.
Look, my son right here is telling me don't even bother coming.
She's in Carlton.
She can stay with y'all. She like me here more. You can stay here. We already counted you out. We good.
No. No.
Oh my gosh.
They're crazy.
I hope we're done.
You're not on mute though, so. Yeah, but if you want, civics folks can come and do a little session, so you know. the civics folks. Yeah, I have to, honestly, I completely forgot to follow up with them, but I asked Liz to send me a text while we're at.
Okay, so that we kind of coincide all three of the things together. It's like
Yeah,
little
Yeah.
pieces of the puzzle.
the civics work, if you want them to come, they'll come. New York City rides, they'll come, if you want them to be part of it, which I think is not, honestly,
Yeah.
the more that the voice gets out there, the better. Parent chooses that they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it, but make more, get as many people aware of it as possible. There's, thousands of kids that haven't taken advantage of it.
We're gonna get started in one more minute. Time limit on it. I'm gonna keep us moving.
Yeah, but I would. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that's completely done. We
Oh.
use it all the time.
You are using
Yeah,
it,
we use
okay,
it.
I know we had talked about that at one point.
Yeah, no, the tool is fantastic. That's, all of our schools have access to it. It's not
I know, like.
you
Glenn
can't share,
Tucky, we had
can't
talked
share
about
it
it.
widely because
Yeah.
it's got student information, so it's great for
Right.
internal at
When he
schools,
first
but.
started, that was one of the first things we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, no, it's fantastic. The tool is amazing. There's not many that can do what was created. It's just.
Like they used to do with.
Good, but I'm comfortable with, the.
I know they know
the
you
data
put it on
stuff.
too.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever need that, just tell me.
Yeah, no, if I need to, then I would tell you, but I don't mind sharing it, so. In fact, if I had him do it, I would wind up probably interrupting him every other minute, so.
Seems like my husband just got home, like, come down, I was like, oh, right. Is everybody ready to start?
No, but I can always go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like. We're gonna get through this quicker than expected anyway, so. I'm gonna call the business meeting to order. It is 8:06. And I'm gonna have Egypt do another roll call for us.
I didn't touch the other one, I'm just checking it out.
Egypt,
Yes,
roll call. Yes.
Shirley?
Yes. I'm in hybrid, but yes.
Christine? Angela? Amy? Vincent? Stephanie? Here. Fabiola?
Here halfway.
Stephen?
Here. Okay. Now, so we can't, with minutes, we don't have to really vote on the minutes, so we can look at the meeting minutes from June and July. I know we were checking on something with that. We should be, if somebody wants to take a look, if anyone sees any things, we can adopt the minutes in. Once everyone takes a look at it, we can move on from there. If everyone wants to just take a quick peek. If you see anything, let me know. If not, we'll adopt it as is. Eight oh six. There's a backside on the July one, guys.
Business, right.
On the back.
Got you.
The printed say both sides.
Are we good to adopt the minutes? Does anybody need more time
Bless you.
Bless you.
for June or July, anything? Yeah, we're doing both at the same time, just so we can adopt them in. Does anybody see anything?
It's fine to me.
Okay, so we can adopt June and July minutes into our records. Next was supposed to be treasurer report, budget discussion and vote. Being that we do not have quorum in person, we cannot vote on the budget. But what we can do is go over our allocations for now and then wait till the next meeting to actually take a vote. When we looked at the numbers last month, some wrong numbers were actually in there initially. So we have looked at last year's budget and we looked at the numbers and we kind of created an idea of what we think is best. So we're looking at putting a certain amount in reimbursements, meeting expenses, the P card is automatic, supplies, and a repair line. And we will vote on that next month, and once we do vote on that, Shauna will give updates each month on our budget allocations. And where we're at, if we've used anything. So I just wanted to touch on that, there really is nothing to report right now, the next thing is planning the monthly presentation, so September, as I mentioned, is probably gonna be a little heavy, considering some of today's stuff has to be tabled. So we're gonna have to deal with the budget stuff, but we do have the presentation, from Hannah, who you heard from briefly tonight. As well as Nathan, and I'm gonna see if I can get this representative from the autism program here as well, because I think it's something a lot of people don't know about, is out there. And I know my son is benefiting from it now that I've learned about it. In addition to that, there was one other individual that is looking to present. What's he from again?
He's a whole.
He's a former CEC member from another council and wanted to speak to the council about something. I'm not totally sure. She's gonna look that up, but we told him it would have to be a very brief presentation. Other than that, we're gonna have to do budget next month, and absences we can't vote on tonight. And we're gonna have to finalize school assignments. So those 3 things will get added on for next month since we can't do them today. The school assignments, you do have a list in there. Feel free to look and kind of make notes of certain schools that you'd be interested in being the representative from the CEC for that school. Just make sure you're not picking your own school. That's the only thing. Basically, we end up usually having around 6 to 8 schools per member. So just kind of flag some for yourselves. I know one school I've been kind of with since I started happens to be 242 across the street. Because my son initially went there and then ended up out of the school, so I have built up a rapport there with them. I go to visit, but just take a look and see what is interested to you, what stands out. If you have questions about certain schools, if they have certain programs, things like that, let us know. I have a more detailed list and I can share that with everyone.
He's the former vice president from CEC and he wants to discuss the utilization of the underutilization of Title I funds and how parents will get to implement meaningful activities during
So
directly impacting student achievement.
yeah, so when Egypt got the message, I did kind of push him to September. But we did tell him it's gonna have to be a limited time. Because, I mean, we can't be here all night, to put it simple. You had a question, Stephanie, it looked like, about the schools.
It was regarding this. I just wanted to ask, I know it can't be your children's school, but can it be within your zone?
Yeah,
That was it.
it could be any of the schools whatsoever, as long as it's not your own school. You can kind of just make notes and flag what you're interested in, and then we'll come together, we'll go through the list, and we'll just kind of vote on it. So that's really for September, and then October, we could talk about at September's meeting what we want to have for October. Next on the agenda was discussion on advertisement of meetings. I know the one thing I did have Egypt do for this past month was when she sent it out to the schools and out to everyone that she sends out our meeting information. I did ask her to specifically tell parent coordinators to push it out via Gamma or their messaging platforms. Summer months, we tend to not have anybody really showing up anyway. So I think we'll have to see next month whether that really is affecting anything. But if anyone has any other ideas for advertising, whether we decide, hey, like we want to have some of the meetings in different schools, feedback is welcomed. So if anyone has any thoughts there.
Oh, no, please.
So I had printed out some things to show people and then accidentally grabbed the wrong folder, so I'll just try and describe verbally my observations. So when I get the email from the parent coordinator, who seems to just be passing along the information that she got, all it says is like, here's the calendar hybrid meeting of the CEC, date and time, Zoom link. And it doesn't really tell me anything about what is this meeting? Like, why as a parent would I want to attend or tune in via Zoom? And even if I go to the website of the council, it just has those basic facts and then it says click through for meeting flyers, which takes you to this like Google Docs, like a bunch of folders that you might be able to hunt around in those folders and try and find out more information about the meeting. So I just think, you know, like from the perspective of before I joined the council myself, I was kind of like, well, what actually goes on? And even when I looked at the agenda, to be honest, it doesn't really provide a lot of information. So I think it would be really helpful if our basic communications that we're asking people to share had, you know, something about what is a CEC. It's, you know, it's for you, the parents, to be able to give feedback. You can listen to updates about what's going on in the school district. And then maybe just a little bit more, you know, in addition to, I know it's kind of public information, the agenda, we need to put that out there, but maybe highlight a few specific things that are going on. For example, if we had information ahead of time on what the superintendent's report is going to be on for that meeting, or other specific agenda items that people might be interested in kind of tuning in for or commenting on, highlight those. And I just also think that the layout of those flyers could be more appealing as well. And the last thing I would note is that the emails that go out don't have the passcode that people need to get in via Zoom. So we have that on the website.
Yeah, go right in. I've been on it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be asking for it.
Okay, I think we need to maybe look at the settings, because I tried to tune in, I want to say in May, and I couldn't because I didn't have the passcode. And then, yeah, just experimenting, like clicking on it when there's not actually a meeting, it does ask for a passcode. So, I think
I think the best practice will be to remove the Zoom link from the flyer completely, and just direct everyone to the website, which has all the information. The website's much easier to type in on a browser versus the whole Zoom link. And then with passcodes and meeting IDs, so that's where I think we should move. That's the direction we should move.
Thank you, Louis.
Yep.
I think, and I guess, yeah, just on the subject of the website, I think it could just be made more prominent right on the homepage, that you don't have to click down on a down arrow or anything, but just, you know, something that's a little bit more visually appealing and gives you all that information right in front of me.
So I know Stephen wanted to say something, but before you jump in, if anyone has any ideas to improve the website, this is something that Edith and I did it by ourselves. Please feel free to step up and let us know, and we will gladly let somebody help out with that if you happen to have some expertise. This was just us creating a version and getting the information from the old site to the new site, because we had to have our own site. But if anyone has any thoughts or wants to jump in and look at it, feel free to let us know, and you can gladly help out with that. So that would, I just based on your feedback there, I just wanted to put that out there.
I just volunteer myself.
If you want, you're welcome to. Stephen, you did have something you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I had 2 points. On the link front, I totally agree that sometimes like that can happen where it's either the link that has the password embedded or the ones that are not. It might be worth considering something like a bit.ly link or a custom link that is a shortened one that like would take you to, like on a flyer, something like bit.ly/CEC September, which has the embedded password link potentially. So we could put something a little shorter on a flyer that somebody could type into their browser. It's just something to think about, because that can cause.
Oh, yeah, and I agree with that, and that's why we should just direct everyone to the CEC webpage, which is d25.nyc/CEC. Can't get much shorter than that. And that way, we don't have to worry about the bit.ly change, the Zoom link. If like we can change the Zoom link the day of and just update the website, and everyone's going to the website. Does that make sense? I like the short idea. That's the whole, the idea of it being short and easy to type in is the best part, because most families get these flyers electronically, not on paper, so they're not really scanning QR codes and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with it being short.
I know the one thing is that, like, even with us telling them to push it out over Dojo or Parent Square or any of those things, I happen to not get anything notifying me of the meeting other than our emails. So I don't know if every school is really taking advantage of explaining it and pushing it out the right way either. So I think that's a big piece of the puzzle, because I know my school did not send anything out to us.
Well, then my kid's school did send it out. That's how I knew about it. I went on too. And luckily for me, I didn't need a code. I went right in.
Mhm.
But I didn't know, like you, I didn't know what it was about. I just knew, I only went on because I was on. And I was like, I should be going to these meetings and so I went on, but before that, I did not know about them. I went on the one with the soapbox for the kids and I was so impressed with the kids.
That was a fun
And I
one.
went on another one, I just can't remember, but two, I was able to go on. I tried to go on the night of the voting and the awards. I could not, I tried like, I am not a tech savvy person, but I tried, like, I went on the website, I went back to the thing and I couldn't get.
That
on.
was
So
a
I gave
different
up
link
after
than our
that.
regular Zoom, if I remember correctly,
But that's
right,
the one
Louis?
time I had problems. But I see what,
Yeah,
Shauna and Steve was saying, where if you need a code, it's not gonna help you if you don't.
Yeah, the June award ceremony was on YouTube and it was at the very top of all the pages.
Um,
It wasn't a Zoom link.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other part I wanted to say was, this is something I thought of even before I joined the council, which was, I know we each kind of do our own thing per district. But I wondered if some sort of contact to a local media like the Queen's Eagle or Hellgate or one of the other the city, one of the smaller New York things, trying to get them like one, because they're kind of shockingly easy to get. To be like, hey, here's what a CEC is, look into your district. And I wonder if that sort of like outreach through not relying on the schools necessarily, but a secondary channel might be worth considering, being like, write up what it is and like, here are the districts that have stuff. It was just the thought I had in order to get maybe more engagement. And we're not necessarily relying on each school to do it for us, or even just the district mailing list. We can maybe get some sort of local media that people read to.
I think that goes along with like also the elected officials maybe sharing it out.
That's
More,
true.
that like when we're sending it to them, getting them to share it out, like, cause I know like. For instance, Vicky Palladino, she makes a video like on a daily basis about what's going on in the community and like what she's doing, especially like last week with the rain and then. The stuff with the road she was looking at and then the school drive thing that like, I found out about because she's posting it all over, so like. If we have them actually pushing this stuff out from their offices also to families and people in the district. I think that'll also get some more word out there. Yeah,
I didn't get it.
I'll send everybody a copy of that.
And I love to.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely send that to everybody, because that's something I got online from her. Okay, so,
Another
Yeah.
idea, I mean, since I'm on the council now, I'm getting a few emails that seem to go to a District 25 list. I wonder if people were interested, and I don't expect it would be a huge volume, but if people were interested enough to actually go to the CEC 25 website, if there was like a sign up for that email list, they could make sure that they get those notifications for future meetings.
definitely something we could look into, I think. So, we can definitely connect on that, we'll connect, though, to see if you have any ideas regarding the website, and then. Do you mind reaching out, Steven, to see if you can get any information about, like, if we wanted to push out stuff through any of those platforms?
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess we'll work off those two ideas for now, and also the elected official thing, I'll work on that part. See that, next would have been school assignments, we already touched on that, we can't really do anything about it today. We also will need to vote on some absences next month regarding today's meeting. Just so everyone is aware of what they are, I'm gonna put that out there. Shirley was not feeling well. I got a message this morning sent to me in Egypt. She's homesick, but she is on Zoom. Amy Morrow was actually able to get in touch with her this afternoon because we had not heard. She is still finishing up school, but this was her last class that shouldn't be interfering in the future. So just so you guys are aware, I'll repeat this next month. Fabiola didn't realize coincided with something going on family related. And then Christine's daughter came down with being sick, so she was unable to leave the house, unfortunately. So those are the four absences we will be discussing next month and voting on, whether to have them excused or unexcused, being that they were under that 48-hour window. Next thing is the discussion of vacancies. We apologize for the typo that none of us realized. as I said during the public meeting, like, we do have vacancies. If you know anyone, tell them to go in and apply. That gets sent over, Face will go through their thing, and if they approve them to be interviewed, then we'll get an interview on the calendar. It could be during a calendar meeting, if we have to schedule a separate meeting, and we'll go through and we'll come up with questions that we want to ask. But if we have more than one candidate, we want to make sure we are asking the same questions to each candidate, so we are fair across the board. So just wanted to get that out there. Other than that, we can't do any of our voting, so if somebody would like to make a motion, we would be able to go home.
I motion.
Angela, who's gonna second that? And Steven. Okay, so we are done at 8:24. I thank you guys all for being here. Those of you that were online, thank you. I appreciate you guys jumping on. And I will see everyone September 10th for 7 PM meeting. If we decide we're gonna do a wellness meeting in advance, Dr. Mike and I will send out an email.
Yep.
And you guys can jump on Zoom if you're on the way here. If
Yeah, so
you're
that
here-
email would come
Yeah, it would
from
be
me,
right-
as it would technically be my meeting and not the CEC, otherwise you have to do a
I'm
whole
usually here about an hour early, so.
thing for you guys to run that kind of.
If anyone's interested in taking any pizza home with them, please take, because we anticipated everyone being here, and then if they weren't, so we have some extra pizza, so please feel free to take some.
Thank you.
All right, guys, this was fun. School year starts.